Good morning, Washington. Welcome to Dave TV for the 26th of January, 2013. Big news today. Where is it here? Where is it? Palin ends her on-air stint with Fox News, broken by Paul Furry. He broke some news. Oh, wait, no, he's just reporting the news that everybody else had yesterday. Fox News Channel cut its ties with Sarah Palin. Wow. I tell you, when she was announced for vice president under John McCain there back in 2008, everyone thought this lady's going to be president someday. Now she's not even with Fox News anymore. David Zurwick had a piece in the Baltimore Sun also. Again, these critics right on top of things. When news comes out, it's all over the internet, and all over the internet, and all over the internet. They dutifully write it up. Good for them. As Zurwick has to inject his little opinion into things. Quote, I wonder what happens to that Fox News studio that was built up there in Alaska for her. It's a far more interesting question what happens to Palin, who now ranks somewhere around Kate Gosselin in relevance and public opinion. You know, Kate Gosselin had that show on TLC where she and her ex-husband now raised all those crazy kids. Anyhow, Kate plus 8 or whatever the hell it was called. Okay, but I wanted to rag today on WMAL. Here's the deal. You got these Republicans. They're scary Republicans down there in Richmond. See, I keep seeing crumbs in my beard. Scary Republicans down there in Richmond. Okay? Here's what the Republicans were proposing. They wanted to take the congressional districts, okay? And there's 11 congressional districts in Virginia. And whichever congressional district voted for which candidate in the presidential election, they would get one electoral vote, okay? So basically, you wouldn't give all of Virginia's electoral votes to the winner of the state. Now, that's the way it's done now. If whoever wins the presidential election in a particular state, even if it's by 1%, you give the entire pile of electoral votes to that guy or girl or gal or whatever. I don't like that system. I think the Electoral College should be replaced by just a straight popular vote. We should just get rid of it. But that's the system that we have, okay? And for the most part, that's the way all the states work. And there's a few exceptions. Maine and Nebraska do it a little differently. But basically, that's the system. And as long as it's a logical level system, I mean, it's better than nothing, right? So what the Virginia GOP wanted to do is basically take all the congressional districts and say, okay, let's look at who won each district presidentially and give that elector to that person. So what you do then is you put all the Democrats in like 2 or 3 districts. You make 2 or 3 districts heavily Democratic, okay? Which is the way it is pretty much right now. You have, that Arlington district and a Fairfax district that are going to be solid Democrat all the time, and a district down in Tidewater and one in Richmond. So there's 2 or 3 districts that are solidly Democrat, and then the other districts pretty much go for Republicans, the huge land areas that cover a lot of rural areas that tend to be very conservative. So you look at this past election and you see that that Barack Obama won by like 1% in Virginia. It was 51 to 48, 49 for Romney. Okay, so the entire 13 electoral votes of Virginia go to Obama. Okay, but you have to say Obama did win the popular vote in Virginia. Under this new system that is being proposed by the Republicans, you would give like 2 or 3 of the congressional districts vote, because Obama won massive majorities in 2 or 3 congressional districts. So Obama would only get 2 or 3 electoral votes compared to Romney's 6, 7, or 8, because he won a closer election in more districts, even though Obama still won the state. So you have an election whereby Obama would win the state, but he would only get 2 or 3 electoral votes to Romney's 6 or 7. Okay? Or 8 or whatever. Okay, that's the way the Republicans went to rig the system in Virginia. And, you know, you listen to WMAL and they almost, I guess they maybe mention something like that in their newscast or something, but they don't play it up much. You know, they sit and talk about, you know, vulgarities in music and stuff like that, and they don't really make a big deal about it. And I'm like saying, if this station wants to be a good station, they got to start, you know, even if it's embarrassing to Republicans, even if Republicans are outwardly trying to rig the elections, they need to stand up and say that. You know, if Democrats did that, you know, if Democrats were saying they were going to do something like that, that was literally going to take the guy who won the vote in a state and give him fewer electoral votes, they would be screaming bloody murder about it. But because it's a Republican's plan, now, according to the Post today, the plan doesn't look like it's going to happen. As you can read this excellent article by Laura Vozzella, formerly of the Baltimore Sun, who I like a lot. GOP opposition likely dooms electoral college gambit. But this is what your legislators in Washington, in Richmond, are doing here in Virginia. It's really scary stuff, I think. And you know, thankfully, one of the good things about the old gray damn the Washington Post is that it's reporting this stuff and keeping us informed. Something that a political talker like WMAL ain't doing, because WMAL is a propagandistic station. WMAL people like to criticize MSNBC because it tends to be a propagandistic liberal news outlet. But the problem is WMAL is exactly the same thing as MSNBC, only on the right. They are literally the same thing. Do you realize this? Chris Plant realized that he is a mirror image of Chris Matthews. He's just on the other side of the aisle. That he looks at Chris Matthews and he listens to Chris Matthews and he steams and stews and anger and what an idiot. And yet, Chris Plant, you're the same damn thing. Just the other side of the aisle. And I really think, you know, WMAL needs to broaden. They need, you know, it does, and as I said many times before, it doesn't matter whether you lean to the left or the right or whatever. You can go ahead and do that. But you got to get a better mix of story ideas and opinion and information, because you're not doing it right now. You know, you're downplaying stuff that's embarrassing to Republicans. And, you know, this stuff that's going on in Richmond is damnably embarrassing. It's embarrassing to this democracy, some of that garbage that's going on down in Richmond. And it's time WMAL started reporting some of that stuff in a big way, not just a quick mention at the 7 o'clock hour. You know, I mean, start talking about it. Well, you got to wonder, what is WMAL up to? Don't they want to make money? I mean, isn't the bottom line of WMAL to make money? And to do that, they need to have a lot of young, big listeners, fat listeners. They need to have a lot of listeners. And they need to skew young, because that's what advertising demo people want. And you do that by mixing it up. You know, you don't just force feed them this right-wing propaganda. You mix it up. It doesn't mean you can't have conservatives on the station. It doesn't mean you can't have a conservative on the morning show or whatever, but you mix it up. And you make it interesting for a lot of people to listen to. They're literally, WMAL are turning away so many listeners who really in the Washington market who love listening, talking about politics. They're turning away so many people because they just want to be propaganda in so many respects. And it's sad. It really is. And I don't quite understand it, other than the owner of the station, Lou Dickey, up there at Cumulus in Atlanta. You know, he just wants a brick bat to spew his political views all over the place, and that's all that matters. But you think that the station would want to be a, you know, legitimate voice, you know, like they say in their ads. Okay, bring it all in. Let's have all the opinions on there, not just a tiny little sliver over and over and over again. And that's why I think it was wrong. Even though I like Larry O'Connor, he sounds like a nice guy and all that. Two conservatives just kind of mostly agreeing with each other on the morning show. Is that it? You could do better than that, WMAL. Mix it up. Have a conservative and a liberal, or have two conservatives and one liberal. I don't know. You know, bring in a third person on the morning show, be a liberal, and they can mix it all up. That would make it a much more interesting show than what it is now. And you need to get rid of that dumb Sean Hannity, that gas bag, and put your own local show on there. I mean, you're sitting there looking at this radio station wallowing in 17th place, and you're saying, you know, with a couple of changes, you know, more diversity of opinion, a live and local afternoon show. They're getting a better news department, but they aren't quite there yet. You know, they could be doing much better, and you're saying they could be up there in the top 10 every week. If Cumulus just knew how to run a big city station, and they don't. Ugh! That's so frustrating. All right, folks, that's my crazy rant for today. Dave TV, 26th of January 2013. Live long and prosper.